Welcome to the Stash Cast, where innovation meets real estate. Let's dive in.
Dave, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate being here. I'm from England originally, so it's always good to have a nice chin wag, as we call it, with somebody who's in the business.
I was looking at your LinkedIn profile a little bit before we got on, and for those who haven't had the pleasure of online stalking you yet, why don't you give us an idea of who you are and what you do?
My name is Dave Seymour. I'm the founder of Freedom Venture Investments, we're a private equity firm that focuses primarily on deploying LP capital into Southwest Florida. Is still where we're hunting and picking and finding opportunities. But I wasn't born in the States. I met my wife in London when I was in college, and I immigrated to the States back in 1986.
Wow.
You put me on the phone with my dad, my London accent comes out in a heartbeat. My wife and kids don't understand what I'm saying. But I come from a very blue-collar background. My dad was in heating and air conditioning type work, duct work, fabrication, and my mom, secretary at a bank. And I grew up on the English equivalent of the projects. They're called housing estates back home. Council housing estates. They sound fancier, but they're really not. I was given a solid foundation in working for other people. And with that came a solid foundation in, and I say this respectfully to my father and anybody else who's listening, financial illiteracy. I didn't understand money at all. And I brought that with me to the States when I came here. Yeah, and then the journey began. I went from London, England to Wheeling, by God, West Virginia via New York City. And I lived in the boonies, brother. It's a culture shock.
That's deep Appalachia.
I was looking for the guy with the banjo and stuff going, squeal. It was wild.
You land in Wheeling.
So my first wife, her parents had roots back in Wheeling, although they were living in Long Island, New York. And the wedding was there. The wedding was a typical Southern wedding. There was caterers who were all pretty much from African-American descent, right? Those were the caterers. And then there was the Southern folks. And I felt like I'd gone into an old-timey movie, to be frank with you. My peeps were hanging out in the kitchen.
Right.
It was interesting. I got a job selling wall-to-wall carpet and interior rugs. There was a little carpet store, and they would set up appointments, blind appointments for me. So you got to imagine this London kid, right, 20 years old, mate, with my 2 books of Stainmaster rugs, heading up into the mountains of West Virginia in my 73 Datsun 810 hatchback.
Yeah.
And I'm up there, pull it up. And man, some of these places didn't even have floors, let alone me trying to sell them carpet. Right. The poverty in this country is underestimated. It's a different lifestyle than what we're blessed with as New Englanders or in a more city-driven environment. So yeah, I ended up a rug salesman.
My first job was selling Cutco knives. It's so much fun. It was great.
I think she sold 2 sets, one to her grandmother and one to her mother.
I made the rounds through friends and family.
Yeah.
Well, then you were in Wheeling, but then I also saw you were a firefighter for 16 years.
Yeah. My first wife's brother-in-law was stationed at Pease Air Force Base up in New Hampshire.
Okay.
Your neck of the woods?
She lives in Greenland.
Oh, Greenland.
Yeah.
Do you know the Fox Run Mall?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the 3rd manager in charge of Wilson Suede and Leather.
Nice.
Fox Run Mall.
Yeah.
I'm not employable. Even though I ended up being a firefighter for 16 years or so, I'm really not employable. I didn't realize why until I stepped into entrepreneurship. But anyway, I moved up to New England from West Virginia. I was in New Hampshire for a while. I worked in the Department of Youth Services. I was a transportational officer in the Essex County Sheriff's Department. As you can hear in my story, I bop around, right?
Yeah.
My first year in this country, I had 10 W-2s, and I didn't know what they were. I said to my first wife, I said, but what are these, like certificates of appreciation? She looked at me back then, brother. She said, no, David, you're unemployable. Just as a sidecar to that, first 3 years I was in the States, I was drinking. I came from a heavy drinking background, and at the age of 23, grace of God came into my life. I got sober, and it's amazing. After 6 years of sobriety, how things can change, how things are a little clearer. A friend of mine said to me, Dave, why don't you get one of those good government jobs? Why don't you become a police officer or a firefighter or work for the Postal Service? They said, don't forget, Dave, you get a good pension. You got a government pension, all will be well. I tested for the fire department, and I was hired in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts. And if you're familiar with Massachusetts and Lynn, you know that Lynn has a certain reputation. Tough town, but I freaking loved it. I really did. Stash, I loved it, brother. I loved the chaos. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the energy of the firehouse. My downfall was two things. One, I was smarter than every lieutenant, captain, and chief that came across my path. Just ask me without taking the exams.
Right.
Number two, I brought that financial illiteracy with me from my background. And I was really good at spending money. I wasn't so good at managing money. And during the financial crash, I found myself in pre-foreclosure in my primary residence. I was working about 120 hours a week between the fire department, my small construction company, in which everybody else, by the way, made money apart from me. And then I worked security, retail security. I was losing my house, and I found myself down at the Lynn Beach. And if you're familiar with Lynn, we've got this like 1.5 mile section of oceanfront. And I pull over in my F-250, I turn the ignition off, and I start screaming at God. And I'm going to battle with the big guy because I wasn't a thief. I wasn't a liar. I wasn't a cheat. You couldn't work harder than me. And I was losing everything. It was a brutal season for me, man. It was a dark time. And I don't hear anything. I'm like, help me. Nothing. It was hard. I figure I'm just going to go home and tell Mary Beth we got to lose the house. And I turned the ignition on in my truck. And I always listened to news radio. And there was a commercial came on the radio. Teach me foreclosure. A free 1.5 hour seminar coming to your neck of the woods. Learn how to do real estate with no money down. And I'm like, really? I took a leap of faith and went home. And that was where my real estate career started. Started as a student in a seminar. And I started to hear different thinking around capital and investments and money. I learned about 401ks being chaotic and a ripoff of the middle class. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
So that's where it all began.
The Stash Cast is brought to you by Needle. What if you could use data and analytics to predict real estate transactions? With Needle, you can. Check it out at needle.us to learn more.
I think a lot of people get their start in one way or another. So I, similarly to you, A, I'm not employable, but B, I got my first start in a seminar as well. I had moved out to California, and the second weekend I was there was a seminar. So I dragged my buddies to it and learned about cash flow and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I just kept pursuing from there.
Can I ask you who it was?
I
San Diego?
No, this was up in the Bay Area.
Robert Allen. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did you experience the same thing as me, like a readjustment of thinking? Because that was primarily what was there for me, coming from the background I had.
My mom was a residential agent but she passed when I was 14.
I'm sorry.
You know, and so I went to Boston for a year, tried to network my way in. I met with all the major brokers and developers and couldn't really get any traction. The goal was always to be in California and to be in Southern California, to be in commercial real estate. I got my first license in February of 2008, and that was just a terrible time to start.
It was on that end of the equation. It wasn't on the investing side.
So yeah, and then I kind of kicked around Southern California with a partner. We bought a 33 unit in Oxnard, a unit in South LA. The 33 unit we sold basically break even for us just because it was bad. It was a bad time and we should have held it longer. The 40 unit, it needed more capital than certainly I had access to. Essentially got bought out at a loss. Like I didn't make any money on either one. I had kicked around a couple of different brokerage shops and eventually found my way here to Cincinnati. And I came here for a deal I was working on. It was in receivership. I got here in January of 11. In March, we had the court date for the receivership, and the property had been 70% in climbing in occupancy, and then it was 50% falling. My partner was like, I'm out. I'm not doing this. And I was like, I'm already here. You can't bail on me. But he did. So I just picked up the phone and kept cold calling.
Yeah.
I built a brokerage practice. Most recently, I was at Cushman & Wakefield as managing director, and through my brokerage career, the thought was, man, What if you could figure out which deals are going to trade and then be able to go and get in front of them before your competitors? And so that's where Needle, my startup idea, came from. And so I've been working on that full time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's not my wheelhouse, right? I'm a sticks and bricks guy.
Yeah.
But I definitely surround myself with people who are a lot smarter than me so that we can take advantage of the system you describe in Needle, for example, or whether we're using any kind of data scrape for assets in certain markets. I think a lot of newer investors will spend their time in the software world thinking that's the answer, where they don't tend to have the foundational understanding of a real estate transaction, whether it's a 3-unit or a 500-unit asset. It's like the fundamentals seem to be downplayed to some extent because there aren't enough OGs, for want of a better term, or mentors that are giving them the understanding of what it really takes to take down a deal, where they think the software is going to buy, underwrite, and manage the asset for them. Yeah. It doesn't. Human beings will always fail. And if you're not prepared for that failure, it can be pretty devastating.
It's interesting you bring that up because I'm listening to a book right now called Mastery.
Is that Ron LeGrand?
Maybe. I can't read the title. My eyes are bad. But it talks about exactly your point. You need a mentor. So whenever you enter a new field, you have to learn how to master it. But a lot of people, I think, don't want to humble themselves and step back into the apprentice role. Feel like they can't or won't or don't want to start back at the bottom, but you have to. My mom was a residential agent. My dad was a contractor growing up. I was a gopher on the jobs for that. But it gave me a basic fundamental level of understanding of how construction works. And so I just finished a 6-unit building. It was a shell. It didn't even have stairs. It just had a roof and the old windows. And I've got 6 brand new, beautiful apartments that I had to take on that project. And I say audacity now. I think it was hubris in the beginning. But yeah, I work for my dad. I know how this works. Sure. And there's so many things that came along that's, I'm like, how am I going to do this? But
that's your alliances. That's the ability. I've taught real estate investing since as far back as I've been in the game, if you will. A mentor said to me, he said, Dave, if you call, they have to answer. If you call, your attorney picks up the phone. If you call your money partner, they pick up the phone. If you call your contractor, they pick up the phone. Your plumber, electrician. You cannot do this business in a waiting for a callback world.
Right.
How do you do that? You do it through reputation and repetition, right?
Yeah.
I hadn't flipped a house in probably the past 5 years. And I had a circumstance where I needed to do, I don't know, $35,000, $40,000 worth of repair on a single family property. The timeline was spectacularly tight. I had 3 weeks to do a $45,000, $50,000 rehab. I made the 10 calls. Because it was a personal scenario, I PM'd the thing, right? I was a gopher again. It was great, actually. Sawdust. But my point is that I executed that like a military operation. And every time something went sideways, because I'd built the relationships where I'd paid on time, I paid often, didn't beat everybody up for every penny that was in the deal.
No.
When I was deep into the single family game, I always used my American Express card for my materials. So you can drop anywhere from, depends on what you're doing, right? Anywhere from 25 to 150,000 on an Amex card. Well, baby, that builds up some serious points.
Right.
And I'd pick 1 or 2 of the younger guys that were on the job. And I'd say to them, if you close your eyes and you open your eyes and you had a new power tool, what would it be? Oh, Dave, dude, if I had the radial arm DeWalt 16-inch chop saw with the double miter and a side of this, he goes, my life would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there would be one on his truck the next morning.
I love it.
If I just had a rope, Dave, if I just had the specialty roofing gun that goes with the coil so that I could roof a little quicker, that'd be awesome. There'd be one on his truck bed the next morning. What did it cost me? It cost me some points. That was free money, bro. But the magic of that Like those guys, I go, I think, has it gun work? Is it still working? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pulling those favors back in years later.
Yeah.
But there isn't a software or an operational component that understands the human connection. So I've lived by that. Even when we did the TV show Flipping Boston, right? So we're on a network and they're following us
Yeah.
around with a camera.
You get onto the TV show.
Profanity.
Yeah.
I'm in the education. When I started doing what the guys were teaching me, now they want me to teach it.
Okay.
And when you change the 5 people you hang around with, when you change your influences, magic happens. And Russell Brunson, who is the founder of ClickFunnels. So there was Russell, there was a couple of other of those internet marketing guys. Anyway, Russell Brunson sends me an email. He's like, Dave, you're a funny SOB. It's 2010, 11. We're just coming out of the crap. He said, you should apply for this. And he sends me a link to a production company in New York. And I was still on the fire department at the time. And I just loaded an application with profanity because these guys had told me enough to know that there were 500 other applicants. So I doubled down on the fire department angle. When everybody else goes rushing in, that's what we do in the fire department. That's why I do real estate in this market, blah, 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 blah. And they picked up the phone. I told them not to call. I said, don't effing call me. Get on a plane, train, or automobile, you donkey. Come from New York to Boston. I'll show you how it's done. Love, Dave. That was the last line of the application. They called. It was a 212 area code. I said, I thought I told you not to call me. I hung up. Swear to God. And I'm like, this is either going to work or it isn't, but I got nothing to lose. He called back again and he's laughing his butt off. And he was actually from New England, this kid. He was like an assistant to the assistant of what was going on.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah, yeah. And they came up, they shot a little mini pilot type thing on a project I was doing with the Greek, Peter, my partner. Yep. And A&E's commentary to the production company was, we like that big English guy. He looks like he could get pretty angry. We'd like to see more of that. And so was born Dave, the angry English contractor investor. And it wasn't, right? To be frank with you, I wasn't getting any Kardashian gadunk money. None of that was coming my way. I think at the end of it, there was 30 grand an episode, which was divvied up between myself and the partners in there. I could earn more money flipping a contract than I could making a TV episode. But it served its purpose, man. I'm on this call with you now, probably because of what happened back then and the trajectory of our business since then. So I'm a blessed guy for having that happen. If you're listening to this and you think to yourself, that's it, reality TV. Nah, get a good YouTube channel going. You'll get more action that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can game the system by just creating a good YouTube channel. Go jump through other people's hoops.
When we came out of that, we figured we were 4 and out. We made 4 episodes, season 1. And the note from the production company is that A&E have noted, I've still got the email buried somewhere, please make 15 more episodes. Look at the Greek, I'm like, what? I don't have 50 houses. He said, we'll find them.
Yeah.
And that was season 3 and 4. I think one of the most impactful things for me at a personal level was we were filming in East Boston when they bombed our marathon. And later the whole country went to the being American side like it was an attack. And we got to rehab a house for a couple of the folks who had lost limbs on the finish line. And that was just God's work, right? All of those phone calls, we made them all, and they all showed up. None of them had their hand out. And Jackie and Paul Norden, we got to flip their house over for them, and we made it accessible for the disabilities. And that was just good work, man. Those are memories that you can't replace or recreate.
No,
we were working with Jermaine Wiggins too.
Yeah.
Who caught the throw from Tom Brady when they won the first Super Bowl.
Oh, that's awesome.
Vinatieri kicked it. And I'm like, Jermaine, I don't know, dude. I'm just a guy flipping houses. I don't know about Wiggy's world. It was fun.
Oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
But that's humanity coming through.
Look, the bottom right-hand corner of a spreadsheet has a number in it. And it's a black and white number. But the human connection to get to that bottom right-hand corner, either in the positive or the negative, that's what drives the game, man. If you can put people first and profit second, I believe you'll do well. If you're a greedy pig, you're going to get started. It's just, and unfortunately, there's a lot of that in our business. There's a lot of bad actors, man.
And coming from the brokerage side, you see a lot of that when somebody double closes something and buys, say, 70 million and tells Fannie Mae that they're buying it for 100 million and they pocket the spread. And then that deal that was a big, beautiful asset. Yeah.
Sure. They did it with the single family business in the crash.
It's the exact same game.
The first deals I did was a 2-family in Lynn, where I worked as a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the chain of title, the owner going in when, it was pulse lending. Everybody could get a loan as long as you had a pulse. Yes.
Yeah.
But this guy had refinanced this thing. I think it was $475,000. He had then ripped out all the systems, all the copper, walls, floors, everything. I bought it for $35,000, brother. And I wholesaled that transaction to another investor for $70,000. Wow. It was one of my very first deals. And I looked at that check and I said to myself, I'm not sure if this is legal, but everybody who's mentored me has told me it is.
Yeah.
And now and you just described the same thing on steroids. But I was on the other end of the equation. I wasn't causing the pain. I was trying to resolve the pain. That asset today is worth about $650, $700. It's got owners that own it, tenants that live in it, serving the community, God willing, paying taxes. But the bad actors they're always knocking at the door.
So you went to the seminar, and then that led to a teaching career for you, or I guess real estate education career?
Yeah, no, I skipped a step. From the free seminar, hour and a half, you just get a little taste. And you end up in a 3-day seminar. And at the end of that 3-day seminar, after you've had your appetizer, you're usually pretty hungry for your main course. Well, your main course in this example costs $35,000 that I didn't have. I go there because I'm broke. And then when I get there, they want $35,000. I dug ditches. I'd seen investors before. I knew that they were playing a different game to me. And I wanted to know what that game was. And I remember I said to my wife, Mary Beth, I said, there was $35,000 for these 5 classes. What do you think? And she said to me, what do you think? I said to her, look, Mary Beth, I said, I'm working so many hours. I'm a beaten, broken man. I said, I can't keep doing that. Our love for each other will crumble under the weight of this stuff. Closest I ever came to drinking in 35 years was around that dark time.
Yeah.
And my wife said to me, she said, and it's actually a quote that we've used so many times in our marriage past 20 years. She said to me, go get him, killer. She said, I'm proud of you. I love you. She said, I'll support you in whatever it is that you want to do. And that was probably the first time in my life that a door had been opened for me in the sense that somebody else gave me permission to chase my entrepreneurial dreams. I said, because we got to use your credit cards. Mine are maxed out. It's the truth. You know what? And if you ask her today, was that a great investment? She'll absolutely say yes. Because she then, within, I think it was like 90 days or 6 months from that day, I negotiated the second lien on my primary residence. I paid down the loan balance because I learned how to make money. She no longer went back to nursing. She was a labor and delivery nurse, and I was a paramedic. That's where we met, in the L&D at Salem Hospital. She didn't go back to nursing, and she raised two. I'm going to start crying on your podcast. She raised 2 incredible young men, right? My 15-year-old son, my 13-year-old son, Jefferson and Bennett. She became a great stepmom to my 30-year-old boyfriend. And that was all based on what real estate did for us and that we had faith to lean in. Learn the lessons, bro. It's the truth, man. It's so good when I look back. Because even in the dark, look, business is hard, man. But I can pull from the people that have said to me, Dave, I got your back. Let's go. I can pull from that. Primarily, of course, my wife. I always say she's a rock I get to stand on so I can look cool. Because I'm just a mouthpiece. I'd be on the road, right? I'd be on the road teaching. And I'd be up there and I cleared up my own financial wreckage and I was building portfolios of assets and I'm out there doing it and I'm all that in a bag of chips. Look at me, blah, blah, blah. And I get back home, I'd open up the door and she'd say, I don't care who you think you are, hero. This diaper needs changed. That kid stinks. I'm taking a break.
Yeah.
She just pulled me down right size.
Right.
There's so many people in this business that are not right size. And I pray for them. I pray that they have a strong woman to support them or a strong man to support them. And keep your feet on the ground. Because if your ego takes over, ego stands for ease, got out. And there's a price to pay for all of that. So anyway, what else do you want to know?
I agree with you. I think having a good support network and system is key to whatever you're doing, whether it's real estate or whatever your passion.
Look, that just propelled me from there on. The people who were training and teaching me, it's so weird for me to think about it because they were like astonished that I was doing as well as I was. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You told me if I did this and this, I'd get this. You told me if I talked to 10 brokers a week, 8 of them are going to tell me to screw, and 2 of them will say, okay, I'll meet you and talk. Your numbers were perfect. Let me get as many failures and as many no's as I can so I can get to the yeses. Come on, let's go. Yeah. And they're like, will you teach? I'm like, what are you talking about, teach? My house was still in pre-foreclosure, and you want me to get on a stage and teach? His name was John Childers. He was like OG platform speaker, real estate investing seminar guy.
Yeah.
And John had a Southern drawl, and he said to me, you could be a very powerful speaker. I'm like, John, I'm broke. How can I be a speaker? He said, you just need to trust the information that you're sharing. He said, you can be a teller of other people's tales. Tell the story. I'm like, okay, John, I'll try. He said, be a reporter of the success of the educator that you're representing. That's where it started, bro. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's
Put me
so
on
cool.
stages in front of 6,000 people in Canada. Got me sitting down at the kitchen table with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Wow. So how long did you do that for?
Yeah, so COVID was a challenge, right? I worked for a company called Fortune Builders.
Yeah.
Fan. Talk about a commercial portfolio. I was working with him. Merrill and I go way back when he was starting and I was starting in the education space. And he had the very best residential real estate investing education programs that I'd ever experienced. So I was super excited to put myself in those arenas because I knew that the fulfillment was superior to anything else. But that came to an end with COVID. And I stepped back and looked at it. And you asked me, how did that career evolve and where is it? I'm always in that part of the business. We're running a program right now with our education branch called Legacy Alliance. And we're teaching folks the multifamily game, right? Teaching them how to underwrite using our AI underwriting software. There's coaching involved with that. It's for a small group. It's not $30,000 like I invested. It's actually less than 10% of that. And that's really just to have somebody put skin in the game. So the question always is, what's the upside for us? It's deal flow. We know that there's a pretty substantial amount of commercial real estate loans that are coming to maturity because of all the chaos that we've been through. They're distressed, just like you described, right? Distressed assets, distressed notes. So I can only buy what I can put my hands on. I need other people to help. If they come through one of our education programs, we can partner. We can find capital resources to help them do these deals. If they want us to partner, great. If they want us to find capital, great. If they don't, great. But at least you get to put people first and profit second. So that part of my career's pretty much never ended. When you see somebody go from just challenged in so many different ways, whether it's self-belief all the way through to system implementation and discipline. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Taking motivation in, and you have that moment and then putting it into a momentum is always cool to watch.
Just evolved.
You see a need in the market, you fulfill it, whether it's your need or somebody else's. How can we get more deal flow and create better partnerships as a private equity firm investing in commercial real estate? We need more buyers. There's a lot of people who say they know what they're doing. Let's find the people that we can help learn what it is that we do and see if we can align them with us. So that was the plan.
So I'll tell you a fun story. Back in, I don't know, 2015, 2016, something like that, my team and I were marketing deals, and we would get the exact same letter of intent from multiple different people. And it was a 3-tiered offer. It would be, here's our cash price, here's our partial seller financing price, here's our full seller price. And the full seller financing was always whatever ask was, and cash price was always like half of whatever. They would come from completely disparate parties. Like One person would be from maybe New England and one would be from Wyoming or Utah. And so we asked them, we're like, where do you know this other person? They're like, no, I've never heard of him. That's interesting because you have literally word for word the exact same letter of intent. And so from that experience in the brokerage world, we always wrote off people that were fresh off a seminar.
Yeah.
And so there's obviously a spectrum of quality educators and those that are just up for a fee grab. How do you view that world? And then I think I know how you differentiate yourself, but how do you differentiate yourself from those that are just out to sell a course and not necessarily be vested or invested in their students and
great question.
welfare or well-being thereafter?
Yeah, great question. First of all, I heard a perfect analogy one time. A guy said to me, he said, Dave, if you want to gauge success rate, because that's really it, right? Show me your KPIs. Show me your success rate. Show me your testimonials, etc. He said, it's human nature in and of itself in the sense of, I woke up this morning, I had back pain. I know I got a little belly going on because I ate so much ice cream. This is it, dude. I'm going to the gym. I'm going. And I get me a gym membership, and it's a monthly subscription. Might be an expensive one, might not be. I might be going to the fancy one with all the machine. I'm going for the top drawer. I'm going to the $150 a month gym. I'm signing that 1 year, 3 year commitment because that's how I feel. And then I go there and I'm like, this is awesome. And I go there the next day and I go, wow, I hurt from yesterday, right? And a weekend, I'm like, this sucks. My belly's still there. I've been doing this for a whole week. What do I do next? And then some of them, they'll turn around and they'll go, okay, I'll get a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And they put a personal trainer in there. Now, the ones that didn't, they don't go to the gym anymore, but they're still making their payments. You get the picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, how robust is the education and what is its value? So if I spend $35,000 on a robust, all-inclusive education program that first of all takes me where I want to go, it's not just money, it's what do you want to do with it? If I can look at that, I then do an evaluation. Can I see how it works? Is it honest? Is it legal? Is it ethical? Can I do it? Will it work for me and will it achieve my goals? If I can answer yes to all of those, can I see the way to do this? And if I can answer yes, then I do it. And that's the hard part. A lot of people don't even do it. Then they do it and they regret doing it as soon as they've done it because they're not committed to it in the first place. So it's following in the footsteps of somebody who's already been successful in it. We always want, do you want A or do you want B? I don't care which one you get. They both work for me. It gives a sense of choice, if you will, for a seller. And it's a core selling technique. They're selling you, the realtor or the broker, on the concept that they can do the deal. The fact that they're worded exactly, I probably know the organization that they came from. My take on it is accessibility. I hate to use the word guru, but whoever it is that's teaching you this process, are they accessible to you? Are they just selling 10,000 courses at, $5,000 a piece? Is that their goal? Or do they have a larger investment with accountability and connectivity? So if I can do that, then I'm interested. Same way with a mastermind. I don't know about you, brother. I've joined some really crappy masterminds over the years. If you don't get in there and figure it out, you're not going to know. Rather than everybody sitting. These guys, we call them dig jams. D-I-G-A-M. Damn, I'm good. Just ask me, right? Dig jams. The entrepreneurs, they'll tell you all the brilliant things that they know, and they've never done a real estate deal.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who have done what it is that you want to do, number one. And number two, are you buying their mistakes? Because that's what you're buying. You're buying somebody else's mistakes in that education space. Because if you don't buy their mistakes, I promise you, you will make your own. And in commercial real estate, they can be millions of dollars worth of mistakes.
I've got a random one. Okay. The market since 2023, when they started just raising rates through the ceiling, has been a challenge. See where we're at today and where do you think we're headed? When do we get back to normal?
That's great. We throw around this term dry powder and cash is king, right?
Yeah.
As we go into this next phase, this is what we're planning. That's another reason why we're educating the way we are, is we want to be in a position where we're cash strong so that we can go in with lower LTVs in the distressed assets. If I'm coming in at 60% loan to value or even a 50 loan to percent value, I'm very attractive to these bruised and beaten lenders, who just got greedy. Let's just be frank, right? They got greedy too. All these loan originators out there who are just picking up their bips and calling it a day and buying another Lamborghini so that everybody says you're cool, right? So cash. Now, the challenge is really simple. When the market is in a distressed phase, that distress causes fear.
Yeah.
So naturally, when people are fearful, they want to hold on to it. They want to
Right.
hold that back. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for the right moment. And I don't want to be cheesy. Warren Buffett said it perfectly. When everybody is greedy, be fearful. And when everybody is fearful, be greedy. And that transference of wealth is happening already. Through 25, 6, and 7, we're going to see these opportunities come into the market where these larger, asset managers are going to have to start looking at their books. They can say, okay, this one we can let go at 70 cents on the dollar. This one, 80 cents, 40 cents. But if we're in a prime position to move quickly and not get run over by the chaos that's created around it, again, a systematized approach, we feel there's a massive opportunity in the next 2 years, we'll say, to be able to come out. I would like very much 10, 15 years from now to be done because of the equity in the asset portfolio, the cash flow from that portfolio.
I was thinking this guy's never going to stop working, and neither am I.
I just lied. I'm sorry, dude.
You can want that when you get to, you're going to be like, yeah, but I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, I want to play the game. So anyway, that's where we see it going.
Yeah.
Right. Empowering people to understand the business, understand the opportunity, and execute on it with as little fear as is possible. And I didn't say no fear. I said as little fear.
Yeah. We were tracking valuations versus seller expectations. And the biggest one I saw was we did a valuation. It was like 160 units down in Louisville, I think. So we got the rent roll, we got the income and expense. It had an assumable loan on it, I think. So I was like, what do you want for this deal? They're like 65 million or something. Like we were at like 47, and I was like, how? It's a 4.65 cap. I was like, in what world?
We're trading at 6, buddy.
Yeah, I think some of those chickens are kind of home to roost, and they're going to have to be like, we bought it thinking we'd be able to exit at a 4.65 cap.
Yeah, the only way you can get in there again is with more capital. If you got cash and change out the LTV, now at least I got a shot at it. I can reposition that asset over 5 to 10 years instead of all this 2 to 3 to 5 year run that everything was being thrown around at when all the money came into the market.
Yeah.
So I think the interest rate increase, it hurt me. I'm not going to lie to you. And it took out a lot of the amateurs out of the market. The people who were sending you those letters of intent.
No, the buyer pool has shrunk significantly, which that means so the last question is,
yes,
if you could go, I used to say if you could go forward or backward in time, but I'm just going to say if you could go backward in time, you can't change anything, but you're just an observer. Where would you go and why?
Wow, it's a great question. So what you're using is a Dickensian sales technique, right? Go backwards and forwards. Human nature likes to find comfort, right? So from pain to comfort is one of our core mammalian brain type things. And the way you ask that question allows me to do that. So it takes me back to the pain of that 18-year-old kid in London, drinking, running around, looking for something, right? I didn't know what I was looking for. So I would love to have gone back to that old kid, really smacked him around a little bit and showed him the grace. See, it still works, dude. That's such a powerful technique, right? To take that kid and say to him, pain is inevitable in life, David, but suffering is optional, kid. Suffering is optional. What if we put down all of the external things to solve an internal spiritual problem? What if we did that now, 18? You waited a long time. I was 36 years old before I got into the real estate world. What if you had done that at 18? Oh my. And then now, David, 59, I go, you know what? I wouldn't change a darn thing. Every scar tells a story. Every success, every failure, every joy, every hurt tells a story. And when I leave, I want my guy to just pat me on the shoulder and say, well done, good and faithful servant. You did okay. You did okay. So if I can achieve those things, dude, it's unlike Donkey Kong, right? It's unlike Donkey Kong. So that's how I look at that. Wow, you spend way too much time on the West Coast. It gets all touchy-feely. When you get back in Cincinnati in the cold, in Boston in the cold.
Yeah. When my wrestling coach knew that we were going to get our asses kicked, he'd be like, now this is a learning experience.
For sure.
Dave, this has been a true pleasure in touch with you.
You can grab me on LinkedIn. Just punch in my name on LinkedIn, Dave Seymour. If you are interested in learning this business the way that we've done it, you can grab us at legacyalliance.com. And if the education component is exciting to you, then go to privateequitymasterclass.com.
Yeah.
So we only take a small amount of folks in. It's a small investment, but we want to be with the right people.
That's great. We'll wrap it there. Hope the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
That's it for the Stashcast. Subscribe, share, and stay ahead in commercial real estate and prop tech. See you next time.